Last spring, a youth soccer team met for practice 0, 1, or 2 days a week. The probability that they practiced 0 days was 15/100ths, or 15%. The probability that they practiced 1 day was 65/100ths, or 65%. And the probability that they practiced 2 days was 2/10ths, or 20%. For the upcoming fall season, the coach wants to increase the number of practices per week by 1 day. What is the probability distribution for the number of days that the team practices each week during the upcoming fall season? Well, first, let's actually figure out what the probability distribution is for the practices that occurred last spring. So they could have met 0 times per week. For example, if it was a rainy week and they were originally assigned to practice on, say, Tuesday and Thursday, and the rain was there Tuesday and Wednesday, and the field was still soggy Thursday, they might not have practiced at all. So 0 practices, and the probability for that was 15/100ths, or 15%, plus the probability that they practiced 1 day that week was 65%, or 65/100ths, plus 2 days times 2/10ths. Okay, so if we multiply these out, we'll have 0 plus 65/100ths plus 4/10ths, and that is 1 5/100ths as the original probability distribution. But now for the upcoming fall season, the coach wants to increase the number of practices per week by 1 day. So instead of having 0 practices, he wants to try to have 1 practice within that original probability for 0 practices, which is 15/100ths, plus, instead of 1 practice, it would be 2 practices and 65/100ths, and the last option would be 3 practices with the 2/10ths probability for that option. Now if we multiply these out, we get 15/100ths plus 1 3/10ths plus 6/10ths. And when we add these all up, we end up getting 2 5/100ths. So the answer here is choice D, 2 5/100ths. And again, notice that all we did was we increased the number of practices per week by 1 day. In other words, we added 1 to each of these outcome values. And when we add 1 to all of those, it should also add 1 to our solution for the probability distribution, which it did. So the answer here is D.